The story and the protests don't end in Minneapolis. Millions have come out to support the movement to end systematic racism below the border. Caryn Ceolin looks at the anger spilling over in several major U.S. cities as people push back once again.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now!
Wrong to use their skin color as a weapon. They were serious as a threat. We have to change the narrative today.
A largely peaceful day of protests over the death of George Floyd collapsed into chaos as night fell.
Say his name, George Floyd! Say his name, George Floyd! Say his name, George Floyd!
In Minneapolis, the death of yet another black man at the hands of the police has reignited a rising tide of rage over persistent racial inequality in the U.S. But leaders in dozens of American cities where the anger has spread say the clashes threaten to overshadow the reasons for the protests.
What happens when we have these violent protests and uprisings in our city, we get distracted from what the real issue is. And we need to get back to what the problem is, and that's the killing of unarmed black people in America.
Floyd, a black man, died after nearly 9 minutes with his neck under the knee of a white police officer.
We want these people to be held accountable. Our lives matter.
From Washington to Los Angeles to New York, what began as nonviolent demonstrations ending in fires and looting and vandalism despite overnight curfews, and police responding to these acts of destruction becoming increasingly aggressive. As tensions boiled over, police tear-gassed demonstrators and opened fire on journalists.
The Minnesota State Patrol was advancing on protesters and us. We identified ourselves as press, and they fired tear gas canisters on us at point-blank range.
In videos posted to social media, 2 police vehicles in New York City can be seen driving into a crowd of people.
We saw things that we never want to see, don't want for a moment to minimize. The underlying reality that for those who were there to peacefully protest, they were expressing an anger, a frustration about things that have not changed and need to change in this city and in this country.
When turmoil came to the president's doorstep, rows of armored Secret Service and D.C. police pushed back protesters near the White House with batons and shields. The Trump administration has suggested civil disturbances are being orchestrated by far-left groups. State authorities have said they're investigating whether outsiders, including white supremacists, are inciting riots. For City News, I'm Caryn Ceolin.